Today I'm excited to talk to you about part 2 of the Fear Street trilogy that is coming to Netflix. Now, Fear Street Part 2, 1978 is available now to watch. And let me tell you, I loved the first one. You can check out my review here. I was over the moon about it. I love it. It felt like such a really great slasher horror movie, which is like right up my alley. I love that stuff. And I was like, there's no way the second part is going to even like hold a candle to this one. I figured if anything, it'd be on par with it. Oh no, it's better. And like a lot better, which is so weird because I loved the first one. So the first one I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. This one I'm giving a 4.5 out of 5. So let's talk about it. Let me give you my spoiler-free review as to why I loved this so much. But before we dive into it, if it's your first time here, I'd love it if you take 1 second and hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy the content, go ahead and hit that notification bell. Okay, let's talk about Fear Street Part 2. Hey, Tessa from MamasGeeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. All right, this one starts off, really around the same time as the first one, of course, which is 1994. And then we dive into that story that we heard just a little bit about in part 1, which I really love that they did that. They're like, oh, we mentioned this story about people getting attacked at a camp. Let's just go full on out and explain it in this movie. So what's really great about it is it has its contained plot. It feels very much like a Friday the 13th. It's a camp slasher. It's brutal. It's bloody. It's gory. It's insane. My mind was spinning. I was on the edge of my seat trying to figure it all out and how it ties into the greater picture, because that's what this is all about, this trilogy. It is about the greater picture, the story of Sarah Fear, right? That's what we all know. Everyone who's seen the first one, that's what this is all about. This is about this witch, this curse. And they continue that in this one. They do. They give you little more bits and pieces of it without giving you everything, making you wait for that final one, which comes out next week, Fear Street Part 3, 1666, which I'm really looking forward to, especially now. The way they ended this was like brilliant, okay? Like major cliffhanger basically, and you're like, what? This is insane and I can't wait for more. But what I loved about this one was, as with the first one channeled the 90s so perfectly, and this one channeled the 70s so perfectly. I mean, from the soundtrack, which is amazing, by the way, to the costuming, the set design, just the language, right? The writing, like it very much felt like a 70s slasher at a camp movie, and I just felt like I was in the 70s, which I absolutely loved. I think that's what they're doing right about this, is they're centering on a time frame, a time period, and they're killing it, right? It's exactly what they did with the 90s, and now we've got this one with the 70s. I can't wait to see what they do with 1666. But they give you a plot, right? This is a movie. There's a story. It's a cohesive story, but then it ties into the greater picture, which is what is just so fantastic about this trilogy. It's brilliant. And I think Netflix is so smart releasing these week to week to week. It's absolutely amazing. I never thought in a million years I would get a movie trilogy in a month. Like, whoever thought that they would get that? And as a fan of the Fear Street books and as a massive fan of R.L. Stine, I feel like they really channeled those books so well. That's something that I love about it. And that's what I said about the first one too. It very much felt like a Fear Street book, even though this is an original story. And that is exactly how I felt about part 2 as well. Again, it's absolutely fantastic. They give you all these little tidbits and stuff that you can tell is going to tie into the greater story. I can't wait to see how it all ties up. I have not watched part 3 yet. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I just think it's so good. It's so fun. It's so bloody and gory. And you guys know I love my blood and gore. And oh my goodness, some of the stuff, oh my gosh, I was like, my jaw dropped several times. Let's put it that way. The musical score keeps you on the edge of your seat. And you know something's going to be happening as you come around the corner. It's amazing. It's like that, like, something's about to happen. And then when it happens, you still jump out of your skin. It's so fantastic. There's some really unique kills. I definitely don't want to talk about them because I don't want to spoil them, but there's one that comes to mind immediately. There's so much to love about this. It's absolutely amazing. Again, it's got that slasher feel, right? Like, oh, these people are hooking up and there's some drug use, and so what's going to happen? Usually when people hook up, they die, So it's got those like classic horror tropes in there too. But it's just so good. It's so good. So like I said, I give this one a 4.5 out of 5. I'm curious to see if part 3 is going to win me over, and I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. I honestly think the trilogy as a whole, depending on how they tie it up, which I feel like could be really, really good, I could give the trilogy as a whole a 5 out of 5, a perfect score. Because, well, yes, there's some cheesy lines. And yes, there's some cheesy kills. And yes, the pacing on this one, like, it takes about 20 minutes to really get into it. And I think that was more me being like, okay, I want some kills. Okay, I want some kills, you know? I want to see, like, where this is going. And that was just me being anxious, wanting to get to the story. But, like, listen, the setup has to be done, so I get it. So any flaw that this has is forgivable for me, which is what makes it so good. So, I don't know. If you guys have already seen this, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Are you looking forward to part 3? I can't wait for part 3. I'm over the moon excited to see how they tie this whole thing together. I think Netflix is brilliant doing this. And again, it really has that Fear Street vibe. So I'm loving it. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more content like this. You don't want to miss out on my review for part 3 coming next week. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, guys. You can follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at MamasGeeky over there. MamasGeeky. See you next time, guys. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.